I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint. Not under the influence of drugs, not under the influence of alcohol, but of the influence of proximity to Taylor Swift.
Was Blake Lively's glittering Hollywood image shattered by a scandal of her own making? For years, she was untouchable, a queen of the red carpet, a darling of the industry. But what if her carefully constructed world crumbled not because of a simple misstep, but a calculated move that backfired spectacularly? It all started with accusations against her co-star Justin Baldoni, accusations that seemed to paint Blake as a victim. But the story you thought you knew is about to be flipped on its head, because the takedown of Blake Lively wasn't just about legal battles and courtroom drama. It was sparked by a surprising adversary, someone no one saw coming, ready to expose what they claim is the shocking truth. Get ready, because this story is about to explode.
That she became uncomfortable with Justin Baldoni yesterday while she was filming. She states that Mr. Baldoni put his bare hands on her backside and said that he was trying to help her with her posture. Complainant immediately voiced her displeasure with being touched on an intimate part of her body, and Mr. Baldoni responded with, "It's fine, I'm totally hot for my wife," in a dismissive tone.
Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Candace Owens detonated a bomb in the middle of Hollywood. The outspoken commentator, known for her fiery takes, unleashed a viral video that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Imagine Candace staring directly into the camera, her voice laced with ice, systematically dismantling Blake Lively's carefully crafted narrative. "Enough with the lies," she declared, brandishing what she called receipts, proof that promised to reveal the real Blake Lively. But Candace wasn't just offering opinions. Her first bombshell accusation was explosive. Blake Lively, she claimed, had used her superstar connections to orchestrate a calculated takedown of Justin Baldoni. According to Candace, Blake wasn't content to let the legal system run its course. Instead, she allegedly pulled strings, calling in favors from the highest echelons of celebrity power. And that's when Candace dropped the name that truly made everyone gasp: Taylor Swift. Yes, the pop icon, Blake's close friend, was allegedly quietly pulled into this escalating drama. How? Candace claimed to have a leaked video, a clip of Taylor Swift laughing with a famous journalist, Ronan Farrow, hinting at a calculated plan. The accusation was stark. Blake allegedly asked Taylor to weaponize the media, to use her connections to powerful journalists to spin a narrative that would bury Justin Baldoni.
Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story because she wasn't doing well on the promo tour for the movie. It was very tone-deaf. Her hair care line wasn't doing well. She was trying to sell booze while talking about domestic violence. Justin says the war between himself and Blake really started in May 2023 when they started shooting the movie. He claims that she was organizing a takeover strategy.
The revelations kept coming, each one more damaging than the last. Candace zoomed in on a specific piece, a New York Times article published in December, a piece that painted Justin Baldoni as the villain and amplified Blake Lively's accusations in graphic detail. This, Candace insisted, was no mere coincidence. She claimed Blake had orchestrated this high-profile piece, feeding her story to star reporters Megan Twohey and Ronan Farrow, all through Taylor Swift's powerful network. The transcript from the New York Times article was stark, detailing Blake's alleged discomfort on set. It quoted her saying that Baldoni had put his bare hands on her backside and made inappropriate comments, creating a hostile environment. Candace's accusation was clear. Blake allegedly used these serious allegations and her connections to plant a damaging story, aiming for a public takedown. The implication was chilling. Was Blake manipulating the media to pressure Baldoni to control the narrative before the legal process even began?
He told us that Justin Baldoni claims she tried to take over his movie because she has a history of saying, "Okay, I'll be the star, but what I secretly want to do is direct it and edit it and produce it. I want all the roles for me and only me. I want full control because I am a controlling bully." That Justin Baldoni, ultimately, by the time they got to the premiere, was mandated by Blake Lively to spend the night in the basement away from his co-stars and didn't even get to see the final cut of his own movie because Blake Lively insisted that she be the one to approve it.
But Justin Baldoni wasn't about to be a silent victim. The moment that New York Times article hit, he retaliated with a force that stunned Hollywood. He slapped the paper with a staggering $250 million lawsuit for defamation. Yes, $250 million. Candace practically shouted it, emphasizing the sheer scale of Baldoni's response. The implication was clear. Baldoni believed something was deeply wrong, something was fabricated, and he was ready to fight back with everything he had. Candace's delivery was nothing short of dramatic, her pacing calculated for maximum impact. She laced her commentary with biting sarcasm, questioning Blake's motives. "Did Blake think she could direct reality like one of her movies?" she asked mockingly. With each point, Candace chipped away at the facade Blake had presented to the public, highlighting how Blake's team allegedly pushed a narrative of victimhood while secretly pulling strings behind the scenes. Candace was on a mission to expose what she saw as a calculated deception, and she was doing it with stinging precision.
And I think that the Justin and Blake stuff is, I think it's a big PR game, and I think that we're all the pawns of it. And also that story I gave you, that's one where I've talked to them. I feel comfortable sharing that much. Like, good luck. There's so many different groups out there.
And Candace wasn't done yet. She zoomed out to the bigger picture, framing this not just as a celebrity feud, but as something far more significant. She invoked the #MeToo movement, stating her unwavering support for genuine victims of harassment, but declaring she would not stand for false accusations. Candace suggested that Blake Lively had attempted to hijack the #MeToo movement for personal revenge, calling it shameful. In a scathing tirade, Candace proclaimed that if Blake was lying, she was not only damaging her own reputation, but actively hurting true victims and needed to be held accountable. It was a powerful moment, one that resonated with viewers, leaving them on the edge of their seats. But Candace's expose was just the opening salvo. Justin Baldoni's legal team was about to enter the fray, and the courtroom battle would reveal even more shocking truths.
He and 9 other plaintiffs, including his publicists, have brought a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times, essentially alleging them of libel and false light invasion of privacy. So Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, he told BBC's partner CBS that the newspaper aided and abetted a smear campaign designed to revitalise Lively's floundering.
The courtroom became the new battleground, and Justin Baldoni's legal team came armed with hard evidence to dismantle Blake's allegations piece by piece. If Blake thought she could win on a he said, she said basis, she was in for a rude awakening. Baldoni's lawyers presented a meticulously constructed timeline of events, contrasting Blake's public claims with the behind-the-scenes reality. One detail jumped out immediately. Blake waited months to report the alleged harassment, and only did so after a series of secret meetings with a journalist. Emails, time-stamped weeks before Blake filed her complaint, were revealed, showing communication between Blake's representatives and a New York Times reporter. Cryptic phrases like "story will be ready" and "need that piece out by next week" were highlighted for the court. Gasps rippled through the room. This evidence suggested a premeditated media strategy, casting a dark shadow over the sincerity of Blake's claims. But the bombshells didn't stop there. Baldoni's team played a video clip on the courtroom screens behind-the-scenes footage from the very day Blake claimed the harassment occurred. The courtroom fell silent, all eyes glued to the screen. In the video, Blake and Justin were smiling, even joking between takes. At one point, Blake playfully punched Justin's arm and laughed. The date and timestamp confirmed it. This was during the period she'd later described as traumatic. The contrast was jarring. No sign of fear or distress from Blake. Quite the opposite. She appeared completely at ease with Justin. Jurors glanced at Blake, who visibly shifted uncomfortably in her seat.
In Blake's first amended complaint, Blake changed what she alleges about what happened while filming the slow dance scene, now that the footage has been released for everyone to see. So what they're saying is, now that, Justin Baldoni shared the truth of what it looks like, they're no longer making the same claims. Previously, they said Miss Lively was filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Of course, Justin proved there was sound. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself.
Adding fuel to the fire, Justin Baldoni's team called a surprise witness that no one expected, a former personal assistant of Blake Lively. The courtroom doors swung open and in walked someone from Blake's inner circle. Blake's eyes widened in disbelief. The assistant, under oath, testified that Blake had been furious with Justin Baldoni months prior due to a professional disagreement. They recalled Blake saying, "He's going to regret crossing me," a chilling quote that now hung heavy in the air. The assistant further admitted they were pressured by Blake's team to support her story, even though they had never personally witnessed any harassment by Baldoni. This testimony was devastating, painting a picture of a calculated revenge plot, not a genuine victim seeking justice. Blake's lawyer objected frantically, but the damage was done. The truth, or at least a very damaging version of it, was spilling out in court. Baldoni's team relentlessly chipped away at Blake's narrative. Another colleague from the film set testified, backing up Justin's account, stating the set was professional and they never witnessed any inappropriate behavior. Inconsistencies in Blake's story were exposed. She claimed an incident happened in a closed-door rehearsal, but production logs showed 4 other people were present. She alleged harassing messages, but Baldoni's team produced friendly text exchanges filled with emojis and jokes from Blake. Revelation after revelation eroded Blake's credibility, as an especially incriminating email was read aloud, one where her publicist discussed spinning the narrative. Blake buried her face in her hands, tears glistening in her eyes. Were they tears of anger, fear, or regret? The courtroom saw a woman cornered. On the opposite side, Justin Baldoni remained composed, watching the truth unfold, his confidence visibly growing. The legal tide had turned decisively in his favor. By the end of this courtroom showdown, the judge even reprimanded Blake's side for failing to provide solid evidence. Court recessed, but the damage to Blake's case was profound.
You can understand it. They're sort of radioactive. In one breath, Blake Lively is saying she was the subject of serious harassment during the filming of It Ends With Us, and now they're making light of it on SNL's 50th reunion show. So tonally, it does seem off, and I can imagine people just wanting to stay away from it. You're going to catch shrapnel if you get involved in this drama at this point.
Outside the courtroom, another court, the court of public opinion, was already delivering its verdict. Hollywood, the very industry that had once embraced Blake Lively, was now turning its back with brutal speed. The phone that never stopped ringing with offers suddenly went ominously silent. A major studio, deep in talks with Blake for a leading role in a franchise, abruptly pulled out. Executives feared her tarnished reputation could sink the entire project. A luxury fashion brand quietly dropped her from an upcoming campaign, erasing her face from their website. A producer of a high-profile film one Blake was rumored to cameo in was considering recasting her part. Industry reactions whispered in agents' offices and studio boardrooms painted a stark picture. Blake Lively, once a sought-after star, was now a liability. The shift in attitude was palpable. Co-stars who once praised her professionalism now dodged questions. A-list friends went silent on social media. One Hollywood insider revealed, "It's like she's radioactive. People are afraid to publicly support her right now." Even #MeToo advocates and organizations that initially rallied behind Blake's claims began to step back, quietly removing or revising their statements. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's superstar husband, was also caught in the crossfire. Insiders said Ryan was desperate to shield his own career from the fallout, becoming uncharacteristically quiet in interviews, carefully avoiding any mention of the case. A joint venture, a production deal for a new comedy they were negotiating, was put on indefinite hold. Hollywood's message was clear. This wasn't personal, it was business, and business wouldn't tolerate scandal.
And that's part of the point that Justin's team is making in kind of complying with what they're viewing as threats made on her behalf against Justin, is like, well, there's this financial consequence to everything in addition to the strike consequences too, right? So they filmed May to June, then shut down for the strike, and then they were down until January. But I think that the strike lifted in November, but then she had all these return to work provisions.
But while Hollywood's rejection was a devastating blow, Blake and Ryan were about to face something even more aggressive. Justin Baldoni wasn't just defending himself anymore. He was going on the offensive, determined to ensure the truth was known and that those who tried to harm him faced the consequences. He transformed from victim to determined fighter, launching a counterattack that had Blake and Ryan reportedly sweating bullets. Baldoni's first line of attack was legal. His massive $250 million defamation lawsuit against the New York Times was already in motion, but his attorneys hinted it was just the beginning. "We intend to pursue all avenues of justice," Baldoni's lead lawyer declared at a press conference, the subtext chillingly clear. Once they were done with the newspaper, Blake Lively could be next. Rumors swirled that Baldoni was considering suing Blake directly for defamation if it was proven she fabricated her claims. The thought of this reportedly sent Blake's team into a frenzy, but Justin's counterattack wasn't just legal, it was also a strategic PR offensive. After Candace Owens' public takedown, Justin stepped up to tell his side of the story. In a primetime interview, his first since the scandal broke, he sat down with a respected journalist, speaking calmly and sincerely about how blindsided he was by Blake's accusations. He described the toll it took on him and his family, and then stated firmly, I have never harassed or harmed anyone. These claims are false, and I'm fighting them not just for me, but for everyone who cares about the truth. Millions tuned in, and Justin's genuine emotion resonated. This interview marked a turning point, with public perception shifting dramatically in his favor. Justin also took to social media with a measured message, posting a photo of himself on set surrounded by cast and crew, captioned, "This is me and my element, grateful for those who stand by the truth." The post went viral, garnering support from fellow actors and colleagues. Baldoni's team was also reportedly ensuring Blake and Ryan felt the heat behind the scenes. Reports emerged that investigators were looking into whether Blake or Ryan had interfered with witnesses or encouraged the media smear. The threat of potential criminal implications for obstruction of justice hung heavy in the air. Justin's message to them was unmistakable. "We will uncover everything."
Was what Blake says, a conversation that she heard had taken place with Steve Sarowitz. Steve Sarowitz is the head of Wayfair Studios. He is the co-founder of Wayfair Studios, along with Justin. And she says in this lawsuit that, is it interesting? She says, "This is what I heard," he said, but it's presented as a quote in the lawsuit. She says that Steve said, "I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas."
As Justin Baldoni pressed forward, public opinion continued its dramatic shift. The public loves a good Hollywood scandal, but they love the truth even more. Initially, many gave Blake Lively the benefit of the doubt. She was the beloved actress. Justin Baldoni was less well known, but after seeing the evidence, hearing Candace Owens, and witnessing Justin's sincere defense, fans and media outlets flipped sides at lightning speed. The narrative had completely changed, and Blake Lively's support was vanishing by the hour. On social media, hashtags like #JusticeForJustin and #BlakeExposed began trending. Fans who once showered Blake's Instagram with praise turned silent or expressed outright betrayal. "I feel so duped by Blake Lively," one former fan tweeted, garnering thousands of likes. Memes flooded Twitter and TikTok, many featuring Candace Owens in a triumphant light. The media coverage mirrored this dramatic turnaround. Entertainment news shows that initially aired sympathetic segments about Blake were now running pieces titled "Blake Lively's Story Falls Apart." Tabloids that once fawned over her fashion now splashed scandalous headlines across their front pages. "Blake Lively caught in her own web of lies," screamed one magazine cover. Even Hollywood insiders, sensing the shift, began leaking negative anecdotes about Blake's past behavior. Eager to distance themselves from the sinking ship, public opinion wasn't just turning against Blake, it was rallying for Justin. Fan clubs and online forums buzzed with support for Baldoni. For Blake Lively, who thrived on public adoration, this was a nightmare unfolding in real time. Her trust with the audience was broken.
Blake Lively accused It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni of and retaliation. Lively's complaint accuses Baldoni, who is also the film's director, of creating a hostile work environment and trying to ruin her reputation after she expressed her concern.
All the drama, all the twists and turns led to this climactic moment. In a final act worthy of a Hollywood script, Justin Baldoni delivered the crushing blow that cemented his victory and left Blake Lively's career in ruins. The legal showdown reached its dramatic conclusion when the judge delivered a ruling that reverberated through Hollywood. In a packed courtroom, the judge announced that Blake Lively's claims of harassment lacked credible evidence. In fact, the judge went further, hinting at concerns about the possibility of false statements being made. In measured but damning words, the judge stated, "This court finds no corroboration for Miss Lively's allegations. The inconsistencies and revelations raised during testimony have eroded the court's confidence in the veracity of those claims." Blake's case wasn't just dismissed, it was discredited. Simultaneously, Justin Baldoni's countersuit against the New York Times hit pay dirt. Under mounting pressure, the newspaper settled, issuing a public clarification admitting they should not have presented allegations as facts. While not a full apology, the message was clear. Justin Baldoni's name was cleared in print. Rumors of a significant payout swirled. The outcome sent shockwaves through media in Hollywood. Justin stood vindicated, but Blake Lively's world was collapsing. Her career went into a freefall. Remaining endorsements dissolved. Casting agents stopped calling. Whispers in Hollywood declared Blake Lively unhireable. Even her own agent was reportedly evaluating their professional relationship, Hollywood code for "you're about to be dropped." The personal fallout was just as severe. Ryan Reynolds, though remaining publicly by her side, couldn't escape the stain. Friends said Blake was an emotional wreck, leaning heavily on Ryan. The Golden Hollywood couple was now cloaked in scandal. In the court of public opinion, Blake's sentence was already delivered: exile from the A-list. Blake Lively didn't just burn a bridge, she nuked her entire reputation, one popular blogger declared. Think Pieces dissected her rise and fall, labeling it a cautionary tale of ambition and deceit. Television pundits speculated on her potential comeback, many bluntly stating, probably not. Hollywood has a short memory for good deeds, but a long memory for betrayal. Meanwhile, Candace Owens took a victory lap, declaring, I promised you all the truth, and we got it. The truth had caught up to the lies, and for Blake Lively, the consequences were unmistakably clear. Was this truly the end of Blake Lively's reign in Hollywood, a self-inflicted downfall of epic proportions? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, this scandal has rewritten the narrative of Blake Lively's career forever.